Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to include extraneous material on this resolution.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I'd like to thank my good friend and South Florida colleague, Mr. Ted Deutsch, for his work in this resolution and for co-introducing it together. It's an important resolution, Mr. Speaker. I also want to thank our chairman, Chairman Royce, and the ranking member, Mr. Engel, for their work in always in a bipartisan manner, and for recognizing the importance of this resolution, and for moving this bill out of our Foreign Affairs Committee in an expeditious manner. This resolution, simply put, Mr. Speaker, urges Germany to honor its moral and historical obligations to Holocaust survivors and to provide for their unmet needs immediately and comprehensively. I know that for Mr. Deutsch and for me, this is an issue that deeply impacts many of our constituents in South Florida. There are just over 500,000 Holocaust survivors worldwide. About a quarter of that number live right here in the United States, and with over 15,000 living in our South Florida communities, Mr. Speaker. I've had the honor and privilege to work closely with survivors from South Florida, many of whom I have come to call dear friends. My friends David Mermelstein, David Schachter, Herbie Carliner, Joe Sachs, and Alex Gross. And Jack Rubin, who has testified before Congress on issues related to Holocaust survivors, including a hearing that I chaired alongside Mr. Deutsch in the year 2014. And there are all so many to thank, so many more, those who have made justice for Holocaust survivors their life's work. Individuals like Sam Dubbin, Mark Talisman, and the list goes on and on, Mr. Speaker. It's been my close relationship with these individuals that has really helped me to understand the realities that survivors have endured during humanity's darkest period. And unfortunately, the sad reality that they face today, Mr. Speaker, especially when it comes to their home health care needs, to their mental health needs, to their medical care needs. Do you know, Mr. Speaker, that nearly half of all survivors worldwide live at or below the poverty level? After going through what is almost indescribable horror, these survivors are living at or below the poverty level. Many survivors are unable to maintain even a modest and dignified standard of living. They lack funds for home care. They don't have the money for medicine. They don't have funds for food. They can't pay the utilities. They can't pay their rent. And as Jack Rubin said before our subcommittee in the year 2014, the existing system has fallen tragically short of what survivors need and deserve. Their current funding and care delivery systems are difficult for survivors to access, and they're severely underfunded. That is why it is so important that we pass this resolution and urge our friends in Germany, our good partners in Germany, to honor the obligations and the commitments that it has made to provide for the needs of Holocaust survivors. German governments have provided some support through income assistance programs and have doubled funding for home care services in the past 5 years. So they are trying. They want to do better. In fact, even by Germany's own admission, the care financed by the German government to date has been insufficient for those in need of intensive long-term care. Mr. Speaker, because of the horrors that these survivors have endured and the emotional and physical scars they continue to carry with them, their medical, mental, and home care needs are far more complex, far more extensive than those of other elderly individuals. These survivors have endured the torture, They've endured labor camps, experiments, the loss of loved ones, and even the loss of entire families. We owe these survivors the opportunity to live out the remainder of their days in the dignity and in the comfort that they deserve. Germany owes it to the survivors to alleviate and end continuing injuries inflicted by the Nazi regime by finding a way to provide for all of their medical, mental health, and home care needs directly and without delay. I urge my colleagues to join Mr. Deutsch and to join me in urging Germany to do the right thing because time is of the essence. With that, Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of our time.
The gentlewoman